Right, today we're going to be talking about a menu in particular that has changed quite a lot over the development over Stellaris, and no doubt will change significantly in possibly the near future due to the changes in the pop system within the game. This screen is, in fact, the faction screen. Dear Lord, the faction screen and the way you can force societies to move in towards a certain direction. This screen by itself, you generally see it for the first time once you have a few pops. You generally see one or two factions pop up early in your game, and then slowly over time, if you're playing super wide, you will get a ton of factions, or if you're playing super tall, maybe one or two factions in total, which you can then suppress. There's a serious problem with this. There's only two things you can get out of making factions happy, and that is influence and happiness. Now, influence obviously you can use to spam stuff in the very large numbers. Sadly, you only get real results until maybe the mid game when it comes to satisfying factions, or you basically, no or in this particular scenario, you just get influence at a point where it doesn't really matter anymore. Sure, when it comes to the expansion phase, you'd think you'd get most influence at the start, but that is sadly not the case. Then, of course, there is a whole bunch of other stuff that really frustrates me about this particular screen. And that is the fact that, let's say, for argument's sake, let's go to the Xeno Justice Trust, right? We got 26 pops in our empire of it, fair enough. We are currently not doing anything with them, so we could just say that we want to suppress them or something like that. But let's quickly pop over towards what their issues are. Well, the issues are obviously being kind of shown by all these little dots on the left, and they use a traffic light system where red is bad, green is good, and yellow is I really don't like this at all. I'd rather have like a percentage style system or a yes or no system, which is kind of what this is, but the yellow system is just, they'll be happy for a while if you do it. Now, the real problem I have with this is the following. Say that you want to do indirect xenology. Fair enough. That's fine. Okay, cool. So let's go to our policies menu, go to the xenology thing, which is, I think, native interference in this particular case. We can quickly pop back just to double check. Passive study stands on native interference. Fair enough. We can deal with that. Okay, so native interference, if we set this to passive. The real problem right here is there is no indication or tooltip that says this will make this faction happy if I do this. And sure, fair enough. You can just go through all of them, blah, blah, blah. There's like a whole bunch of factions here. All right, cool. So these guys, they don't want to have any sort of thing doing with xenology, whatever. But if you have, say, 7 factions, right, and that's totally possible, and then you go to your edicts, and then you click on one of these buttons, and it says, oh, by the way, your largest faction would really hate you if you do this. You click it, and now you can't change it for 10 years. This is a problem. This is obviously more of a game design and other issue, but I really do not like this system whatsoever. Sure, it's am I saying that you should hold my hand? No, I really don't want you to hold my hand whatsoever. It just means that, it's a little bit annoying that you could make mistakes like this and really suffer on it. There's another one as well. So, the way, at least as far as I understand it, ethics attraction is based around your governing ethics, right? So we have our governing ethics, which is materialist, militarists, and authoritarian. Fair enough. What we could potentially do here, if we can find the modifiers for some reason, I'm not sure if we can find them. There's really no place where it says, this is how much draw we have to these things. The real problem is, let's say hypothetically, okay, fair enough, I've started out as a pacifist xenophile. Due to the changing landscape in the galaxy, I should probably move over towards a slightly more militarist, but still kind of stay xenophile. Fair enough. So, first of all, you would need to find yourself with a militarist pop in your empire. How do you go and do this? By conquering a militaristic pop or spreading so far that ethics drift basically adds a militarist pop to your empire, which then creates a faction which you can then promote for one influence, or actually it's now two influence these days. It used to be one. Or you could suppress it, and it's, my god, the cost of the promoting is 2, suppressing is 1. Fair enough, but it's so, there is no policy of changing your, like, let's say you want to drift, right? You want to drift to do another ethics, but due to a couple of technologies as well as building types, the ethics drift will basically completely offset the suppressing or embracing factions. Like, obviously, right now, I could hypothetically embrace this faction if we can. So, Xeno Justice Trust, we could do that. So, the Scientist one, we can do that. We need to have a minimum of 60% of basically support is greater than 20%. And let's do this. And now we're all of a sudden fanatic materialist, and obviously the spiritualists don't like that. But the only way to really get factions in your empire that you didn't have before is by taking over other parts of the galaxy, importing those pops into your empire, and basically allowing them to start factions and then starting drift. Which by itself, that's fine, but at some point, the amount of factions and the amount of pops in your empire become so large, it is effectively impossible to promote a certain particular ethic or suppress an ethic. And his entire menu, when it comes to managed faction, becomes completely and totally useless. Sure, you can still have their issues and whatnot, but I don't feel that it works very well. When is the last time you looked at this screen? Let's look back at it. When was the last time you really paid attention to the politics of your space empire? I'll let you think about it for a second. Yeah, neither have I. Not very often, let's put it that way. And this is kind of strange, don't you think? You think that politics, at least a system of politics that exists within the game, and is slightly more fleshed out than Crusader Kings' politics system, in a different kind of way, should have more impact on the way you run your empire. If you are at war and you are being pushed back, there should not be any, help the Xeno Empire. If an enemy species is purging your former systems, why is the Xeno Justice still there? Where is this dynamic of politics and belief in other species? Now, I know this is a bit rambling and ranting, but I really feel a little strong about this, and I really hope that the changes in the 2.2 patch is really going to overhaul the faction system, because we're getting so many different changes to the way pops are handled on planetary stuff. So I really hope that we're going to see things like guilds, invest money in them. Can we pay off people? Can we have political assassinations even? Who knows? There's so many different things, so many different options here. Maybe even, I don't know, let's say we go to our leaders right here. Maybe even have a leader with its own ethics. That'd be kind of cool, because then we could, put certain leaders in positions of control if they have certain ethics, and then attach drifts to the areas that they control. A planetary governor that has certain ethics will, in that particular case, steer your ethics in a certain direction. If you want that to be like that, anyway. If you have a government leader or a democratically elected leader, their ethics should reflect on, should be a reflection of the empire, and vice versa as well. A autocrat will push their ethics onto the government and therefore the rest of the system, and that would make the game a lot more dynamic, and it will allow you to do a lot more politics at home. Yeah, I don't know, man. Or girl, or whatever. The faction system, it's a cool concept, and it's changed many, many times, but I don't know. I feel that this system could use a bit of love, and I really hope 2.2 or maybe 2.3, after the way the population is handled, is going to be different. Also, would like to see that these, you know, the political groups work together to push certain things. Like, hey, it's a democracy. We control these two factions together. Control 52% of the Senate. Therefore, certain policies can be pushed through, and if you don't do it, then a leader can get ousted or something like that. Or if it's an imperium that just happens to have a Senate, like an enlightened monarchy or something like that, then they can turn into a republic or something like that. Now, this is a very EU4 and CK2E, and it's not really reflective, but having these sort of mechanics internally within Solaris would make the game so much more interesting on the home front, because I don't really deal with the home front. I generally look to the borders of my enemies and painting the map in my color. And that's no fun. Like, don't get me wrong, I love this game and everything about it, but the faction system, though, could be better. Thank you for listening to my little rant here about factions. Yeah, it's a little bit off the cuff. I didn't write a script for this one. I just wanted to rant about factions a little bit before the Death Diary comes out on Thursday. At least the first one in quite some time, and maybe we'll have a little bit of faction stuff in there, so who knows. But factions, I don't think they currently work very well, and they need a little bit of love. Thank you so much for watching. If you would like to have a little bit more discussion about this, please feel free to join the Discord. The link is below in the comments. And let's see if we can have a little bit of a discussion over this, because this is something that I feel rather passionately about. I feel really passionate about this game in general, let's put it that way. But yeah, factions, what do you feel about it? Put it in the comments below. Let's talk about it on Discord, and let's take it from there. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, take good care of yourselves, and as always, each other.